Hey, what's happening, all you frogs and toads out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another episode review of Amphibia. Now, it's been a while since I reviewed that first episode, but, not long enough of a while. Like, what the hell, Disney? Why would you release the span of an entire season in the span of a month? Why would you do this? Why would you choose to do this? I don't understand why you're doing this. I am very upset by this. I'm sorry, I'm like peeking on my audio, but it's just like, it's insanity. It's absolute insanity. Like, I mean, I guess for reruns and stuff along those lines, but, and it's nice just basically binge watching this entire series, but man, if I actually want to talk about it, I end up behind within the span of a few days. But oh well, sucks to be me if I want to actually review any of these episodes. And ultimately, I only wanted to review plot heavy episodes. And that's where we come into our episode that I'm reviewing today, called Toad Tax. This is episode 10 of Amphibia, basically smack dab in the middle of the season, and there is plot out the whiz and wazoo. Now, part A is titled Toad Tax, and part B is titled Prison Break. Now, in terms of Toad Tax, we actually see Anne shopping with Hop Hop. And Anne has actually, for the most part, almost fully adapted into being in Amphibia. You know, she's gotten used to the, foods and all the various different delicacies that they have going on there. Specifically, some I think it's beetle jerky. But when she actually goes to grab some, One Eye Wally, her original nemesis, I guess you could say, because they've been very, had a lot of animosity to each other from the jump. He manages to, snag it before she does, and runs off with it, calling her Scarecrow because of her gangly appearance. And we also have the old lady from the previous episodes who's become more and more of a prominent character as the episodes have gone on. Criticizing how large she is, and she even gets laughed at by the entire store when she accidentally slips in a puddle, which is just like, that's not even her fault. But so many of the frogs just seem to really demean her at every turn, calling her Scarecrow and all this good stuff. And when she talks things out with the Planter family, Hop Hop makes it known that that's just the way of people in the town. Slow to accept and even slower to respect. And, they end up just, making their way back home. We see that the mayor has had a new statue commissioned, which is in very poor taste, especially considering it kind of looks like Sprig and Polly. But, we also end up seeing something else that's new, specifically the Toads of Toad Tower, who have come in to assist the mayor in a specific endeavor. Sprig lets it be known to Anne that the Toads of Toad Tower, protect everyone in the valley, including those within Wartwood. And for that protection, they charge a tax for their services. But they are the fiercest warriors in all of the valley. And they are incredibly cool for the most part. Sprig seems to have a real liking to them. So naturally, Anne and Sprig go off to talk to them, specifically their leader, Bog. However, once he notices Anne, he basically has his men attack her for the most part, just wondering, oh, how does she taste, and blah blah blah, all this other stuff. But Anne manages to get the other upper hand on one of the toads, which actually manages to earn their respect for the most part. It's just like, we like your metal, the cut of your jib and all that good stuff, which leaves Anne having a bit of a liking to him, because she's actually getting that respect she wanted from the people of Wartwood. However, Sprig is unconvinced and finds the Toads to be a bit lacking in terms of how he originally envisioned them for the most part. And while Anne stays behind to actually get to know the Toads for the most part, Sprig and Hop Hop are less than convinced and warn her against hanging out with such rough customers. Meanwhile, Anne ends up kind of being inducted into helping out the Toads because they do have taken an actual liking to her for the most part, and even decide to try and deputize her since she spent so much time in Wartwood. She might be able to help them do their job that they've come here to do. And so Anne becomes an honorary deputy of the Toad Tower, which isn't really what Hop Hop had in mind when he said that she should take some time out to slowly build to getting the respect of the people of Wartwood. But Anne sees no trouble with this, thinking that the fastest way to earn the respect is by becoming a fierce and great warrior and a protector of the valley. And as she leaves, Sprig decides to follow her just to make sure she doesn't get herself in too much trouble. And when she actually asks what exactly they'll be doing in the Wartwood, Bog lets it known that a few people have reneged on their taxes, and with a list provided to them by the mayor, they're supposed to go around and kind of, basically kind of loot people's places in order to get that tax money. You don't pay your taxes, we basically raid your house for the most part. But One-Eye Wally makes it known that, well, I always pay my taxes on time. I may be a vagabond, but I'm not a crook. However, since he's on the list of delinquents, Boggs finds that that's, show enough that, well, this list says you didn't, so we're just going to be taking your stuff and ransacking your house. And Bog even hands over the thing of beetle jerky that An had originally wanted. But An feels that they're going a smidge overboard with all of this, and there should be a more peaceful way to resolve all these issues. But Bog is unconvinced. But after he leaves, Anne hands over the beetle jerky, not really wanting to be that kind of a person. And that actually does end up earning her the respect of One-Eyed Wally. Meanwhile, as Sprig sees all of this, he's unconvinced. He knows that One-Eyed Wally always pays his taxes on time. They value the Toad's protection, and something about this just doesn't seem right, especially when he notices the mayor actually sneaking around, just being an altogether shady guy. He's carrying around these bags, and when something falls out of it, Sprig notices that it's a copper piece, and that the mayor might apparently be hoarding some of that capital. So he ends up ending his trailing of An to trail the mayor instead. And as the Toads continue to loot and pillage, Anne continues to ingratiate herself to the people of Wartwood by just showing that she has better character, a better sense for these people that she's, for the most part, gotten to know, and just being decent, just being a nice person in general. Well, she's not a crook, she's not a thief, and she's not heartless. Deep down, she's a good and honorable person, despite everything. And she can't help but still ask Bog that maybe they're not doing the right thing. Maybe, something about this just doesn't feel right. But Bog says, hey, they all seem to say that they paid their taxes, but nothing has been sent to the Toads of Toad Tower. So obviously they must be lying. They must be lying about all of this. And he lets it known that the next spot on their tour of taking is the Planter household. But lets him know, no, I know Hoppediah Planter. I live with them. He has to have paid his taxes. But Bog is unconvinced, because if they've paid their taxes, then where is the money? And we jump cut to the mayor basically filling his stone bottom with all of the tax money. Embezzling funds. What a creep. What a creep. And he's just hiding everything away for himself. Sprig sees this and goes running to tell the townspeople as the Toads make their way to the planter household. But Anne continues to try to dissuade Bog from, raiding the planter house, saying, no, Hoppediah pays his taxes. He made me watch him, go over his taxes. He would never do this. But Bog continues to be unconvinced, and they decide to take Hoppediah's, snail, the one that Anne had actually managed to get a close relationship to in a previous episode. And that's the last straw for her, and she decides to stand with Hoppediah and the planter family. And as the various people of Wartwood see this, they can't believe that she's standing up against the Toads of Toad Tower. And she, gives this nice speech that though she wanted the people's respect, she didn't want to earn it this way. This is not right. You shouldn't be treating people like this. It's just not the way she wants to do things. And because of that, the planters end up being captured, and Anne, ends up being, sentenced to death basically by Bog as a deserter of the Toad Tower. And so Anne manages to break her way free and goes into pitched battle with the two Toads. However, she is very much outnumbered and easily disarmed. Figuratively and literally, as one of the Toads managed to break her arm, which really took me off guard because I'm just like, man, dude, hardcore. And as the Toads get ready to finish off Anne, in comes Sprig, ready to defend her friend along with the people of Wartwood, because they might not have had her respect, but they've gained theirs. And violently outnumbered, the Toads give up for the most part. It's just like, yeah, they might be a little bit stronger than the average frog, but they don't have the numbers to back that up at the moment. And as Anne kind of apologizes to the planter family, feeling that they were right, that ultimately this wasn't the way that she wanted to earn the frog's respects, Sprig, lets it known that no, it was the fault of the mayor. He's been embezzling funds, and they find all of it within the mayor's statue, with the Toads being very violently angry at the mayor for basically wasting their time, and the people all turn on the mayor, which, man, I'm surprised this dude continues to be mayor with all the messed up crap he continues to do. Like, at some point, he's gonna have to stop being the mayor, because it's just like, yo, really? Embezzling funds? I'll be surprised if he isn't steamed frog legs in the next episode. But, Anne returns all the various items to the people of Wartwood as the Toads of Toad Tower leave, and Bog lets it known that, you might have wanted respect, but you certainly didn't gain mine. But One Eye Wally lets them know as they leave that while she might not have their respect, that she definitely has theirs. We also see that the Toads know about Anne and know that they need to report it immediately to their captain, Grime, the Toad we saw in the second half of the first episode, because he definitely needs to know that there's another creature like the one they've captured out there. And we end this half of the episode with the people of Wartwood cheering on their protector, Anne. And now for the second half, Prison Break, the real good stuff, the real good, as we see Toad Tower in its entirety this time, where the Toads are raucous and rowdy, a bunch of layabouts and just goofballs for the most part. That is until Grime comes in, who is less than impressed by the Toads under his command, and he feels that they're starting to lose ground down within the valley from all the various villages. It shows that, even before the uprising of the frogs in Wartwood, the toads were already starting to lose the faith of the people for the most part. We also finally get to see Sasha in her entirety, voiced by Anne Akana. With, I shouldn't let it known that Captain Grime is voiced by the legendary Troy Baker. And if you don't know Troy Baker, dude, Troy Baker is in everything. Like, just about everything. Like, my God, this man has almost so much of a respected voice listing as D. Bradley Baker, who is also pretty much in everything. They're just some voice actors who are just really well traveled in terms of their, notoriety. But we get to finally get to know Sasha for the most part. Someone who's very ruthless, but also very manipulative for the most part. Really knows how to get inside people's heads and, gain their favor. As we see with one toad named Percy, who is actually in pursuit of a dreams of being a court jester with a lot of noisy instruments and all that good stuff. But Sasha tries to get him to pursue his dreams, telling him that, hey, maybe you should just, quit all this life and, just pursue the things that you want to. Go for it. Do what makes you happy. So she's managed to turn many of Toad with this. As, Percy goes for it. He decides that he'll quit and pursue his dreams as he runs past Grime and says, hey, Captain Grime, I quit. And he just runs out of the fortress, which, still leaves Grime a bit, well, it's just Percy, whatever. He wasn't that great to begin with. But he is a little bit, perplexed by the fact that time and time again, Sasha has managed to turn at least 5 toads now. But as he continues to question Sasha about, where she's from, how she get here, is there anyone else with her here? Sasha continues to say she doesn't know anything, because she really doesn't. She was transported here and that's about the end of it. But Grime very much doesn't believe her. But this is interrupted by Braddock coming in and informing Grime that they've spotted some enemies off in the distance, namely a group of heron, who are, as Sasha doesn't really see the issue with any kinds of giant birds, Grime lets it known that these heron are bloodthirsty and ruthless and have a taste for flesh. And they try to quiet things down and just let the heron pass without a confrontation. Unfortunately, Percy's instruments actually, zoom in on his location. And, I love this moment where they're all desperately trying to alert Percy to the heron in the distance, only for him to be viciously attacked and almost eaten. But he unfortunately leads the heron right back to Toad Tower. So Grime has no choice but to sound the alarm and close the gates. But the heron managed to break in, full on into Sasha's jail cell. And they start just devouring toads left and right. Like, man, toads are up here dying and stuff. Like, man, it is viciously brutal. But that's kind of been this series. Like, random characters will just be carried away by these giant bugs and stuff. It's really messed up. And the toads just buckle under this completely and utterly, much to the disdain of Grime. And it's just like, no, you should be out there fighting, rallying, getting yourselves together. What are you doing? Fight back, damn you! But then he notices that Sasha actually is fighting back. And we've seen this in Anne as well. That fight or flight response within them, especially with Anne in that first episode. In the second half of it, where she took on that giant snake because she thought it ate Sprig. These girls are fierce, and I love it. I just really love just how ready to go all in that they actually are. But they're kind of punks for the most part, so I shouldn't even be surprised. And Grime is immediately just as taken with this as I am, because Sasha is really showing her skills in metal and decides that she probably would be valuable to him. So he goes and, rips open the bars and goes in to protect her. However, as soon as he starts grappling with the Heron, he notices that Sasha has already run away. And Grime is pretty much ready to meet his death, only for Sasha to come back in, having just simply ran off to grab something bigger to beat the Heron's head in. And just she managed to break the barrel right over the Heron's head. And Grime is doubly impressed, wondering where she got moves like that, and she says cheerleading. So, Disney Channel has a tendency to really make cheerleaders seem badass for the most part. But, Sasha demands that if she helps Grime fight off these Heron, she will give her two things: provisions and her freedom, so that she can go out and find her friends. Grime agrees to this, liking the moxie of her spirit and finding really taking a shine to her for the most part. And so, as the Toads end up holding up in the safe room, Grimes starts to really lay into his Toads, just demeaning and berating them for just having no skill and no ability whatsoever. But Sasha pulls Grime off to the side and lets him know that, look, the best way to get these Toads to do what you want them to do is to, praise them, give them a little bit of compliments, get into their good graces, and that way, hey, after you've done that, you could get them to do anything. So we're seeing that manipulative side that, even, Anne had let known that's how she feels towards her friends. That Anne ended up being one of these people who were so overwhelmingly ingratiated to Sasha that she couldn't bear the thought of disappointing her or being abandoned by her. So, despite the fact that Sasha is a really fun and interesting character, she's also very devious and manipulative and very dangerous to be around. Not the greatest of people, but also one of the greatest of people. She thrives in this kind of environment. And so she starts to kind of play into things, saying that, oh yes, Grimes said all these nice things about, guard A or guard B and whatever. And, over time, Grimes starts to kind of buy into it, saying, Braddock, she's tough as nails, one of the best soldiers out there. And he starts to just say, oh, they're all heroes, you're great, you're wonderful. And, it starts to take for the most part. It really starts to be built up. And when it comes to Percy, the mess up of the episode, he even manages to squeak out that Percy is a great warrior. And, really, heroic and all that. And it works. The Toads rally. They get together. They fight or die for Grime. They are ready to go all in. All Sasha's manipulation and tactics actually manage to work as the Toads go in on the Heron. However, while the Toads don't actually seem to stand much of a chance, once Sasha and Grime get involved, they are unstoppable. And it is a sight to behold these two working in tandem, taking down these Heron, because they go in hard and handily. It is amazing, and I love this scene as they beat the ever-living hell out of the Heron, and the Heron have no choice but to retreat, leaving the Toads just shocked to have seen these two just utterly dominate on the battlefield. But Grime doesn't take any of the credit. He says they fought like true warriors today, and they are heroes all. And that continues to just really pump up the troops, really get them just completely in on Grime, caring for Grime, just really loving Grime because they're, he's earned their respect. act in just having showing respect towards them. And you can see that Grimes enjoying this. He's noticed that yes, they seem to really just be buying into everything. They've fallen in line. He's gotten the full faith of the Toads, and he's eating it up. He can't believe all of that works as he sends the Toads to go and party and enjoy themselves. But Sasha is having none of it. She's just ready to, get what she wanted and get out of there. But, you know, Grime is no fool. He knows that if he lets Sasha out unsupervised, she will cause him even more trouble and headaches, which takes Sasha off guard because she thought they had a deal. But Grime lets her know that, well, honestly, could I really stop you? Could I really even do anything to you? So go out into the wild, the unknown with a few provisions. Become a vagabond and just see how well you do out there by yourself. Or stay behind, become my lieutenant, help me rebuild the Toad Tower, restore order to the valley, and with that we'll be able to search for your friends unabated, because we'll have complete control and knowledge of the valley, which Sasha immediately is taken with. And man, I utterly love the writing of these two. It just the deviousness, the just the way these two's minds process. It is fantastic because you can see the wheels turning in their heads at every turn, every moment. Just the way that they constantly try to one up each other in certain aspects. Grime is no fool, and he knows that Sasha is too valuable to let go, especially with everything that happened today. And as Sasha ends up agreeing to this and Grime goes off to join his men, we also see that Sasha also has that picture of her and her friends, BFFs. And she hopes to one day find her friends out there in the, Amphibia and all that good stuff. But she vows to find her friends one day and hopefully get back home. But until then, she's all too ready to have some fun with these frogs and toads. So, Sasha is someone to look out for. And we also, if you notice that mural where the title card is, where the, you know, show's name is when it first comes up. I don't think we even had a theme in this, the theme song play in this episode, but when you see that depiction, I think Sasha is depicted with a bow and arrow fighting off this massive frog beast that I originally thought was going to be Captain Grime, but now I'm not quite sure. I'm not really sure where that's going. Because are they really fighting this creature, this giant frog of flame who's wielding this massive fire? Is that Grime or is that someone else? Because we know that Grime has acid spit, which really took me off guard, but is there something deeper to Grime's involvement, or is there some massive toad out there that the three, Sasha, Marcy, and will ultimately have to face at some point? It's very much telling. And ultimately, there's also the question of, will An also actually manage to, break away from Sasha and, her manipulative ways? Because Sasha is obviously not a good person. She has quirks that just don't vibe with the person that Anne truly is. And in terms of Marcy, like, what's her character? Where does she come into play? You how is her personality? Because it was pretty obvious that Sasha was the head of things, that she is the brains behind the outfit. But why did Sasha end up joining up with someone like Anne? Why did Anne join up with someone like Sasha? Why is Anne so attached to Sasha? Why does she feel so much loyalty to her. I mean, I know that ultimately that's just the feelings of a middle schooler, but there has to be something that happened in and Sasha's past to cause them to be the people that they are. And what's Marcy's personality like? Because we've gotten nothing from that, And where is she? What's she up to? Is there another kingdom or a village that she's located in? Because obviously they've all ended up on the same island, but how far does that go? What true involvement is there? A lot of questions and a lot of theories to be had. Especially in terms of what does Hapadaya know about the music box that brought them all here, the Calamity box. Just very fascinating thoughts and theories. And the showrunner has let it be known that, hey, we're going to bring everything to a solid conclusion towards the end of this, which means that the second season, which is already in development, there's a lot of ways that could go, but I've talked at nauseum enough. Like, if you've made it this far in, you are truly dedicated. But there was so much going on in this episode that needs talking about. I just could not say anything. So let's wrap things up. Tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. How did you feel about this episode, about Sasha, about their, the juxtaposition between Anna and Sasha, and your theories as to where Marcy might be located and what her personality might be? Because there's obviously kind of like a Jesse James and Meowth dynamic between the two, with Sasha being more of the headstrong, always devious Jesse, and is more of the a bit of more of a follower. She has more personality in her own right, but she's ultimately a sweet person underneath. And very more on the not as rowdy side. She does like to get herself into trouble, but not so much Sasha's brand of trouble. So I would think that Marcy is more like the Meow. She can be a standout on her own, and she's very off to the side, aloof kind of thing. She kind of sees the machinations and she just enjoys seeing everything play out in certain situations. At least that's my thoughts. But again, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you did, feel free to give me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you never miss out on another Amphibia episode review, especially when more plot comes to the surface and we break outside of the episodic format of things. And if you want to find me on social media, just Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I am everywhere, for better or for worse. And until the next video, just remember that there's several ways to gain friends and manipulate people, and Sasha can show you every single way to do it. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm going to bed. Bye-bye.